Yeah.
It's like muffled.
Yeah.
Oh my God, why is it the same? It's the same one that I'm using now, desktop again, just like it was last time. I could not figure out what's wrong with it, but
Yeah, sounds like you have marbles in your mouth. You have marbles in your mouth.
I actually
Okay.
do. You guessed it.
All right. So first of all, make sure. Thank you for inviting me back, and make sure that you check in for me. Okay. So check in, and if you can make sure that you put in what was the last? What's the team name again, Don?
Elite team.
So okay, good. So put Elite Team Session 2, okay? Elite Team Session 2 when you check in. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue our path. We've got a lot to cover. So while you're doing that, give you some idea in your direction. We'll do a rough overview of what we talked about, but we're really going to get into the meat and potatoes so we can put you guys on a path to really engaging effectively, okay? Effectively. So the three areas that we were talking about with business owners is understanding your audience, right? So that's really what we talked about first and foremost, was understanding your audience. Number one, having an audience. So for those of you who, and I'm going to put this up on the screen actually, I'm going to share this while we go through this. While we go through this review. So this is everything we talked about last week, guys. It's a lot, huh? So required 1 to 5 business owners. Your homework was being able to do the things that you covered, which number one is understanding your audience. So that means having a list of business owners that you're going to plan on reaching out to, and doing the background work. So you got to do the recon work, yeah? Know your audience. Knowing your audience also is understanding the pain points. So we covered pain points. So the pain points would be the things that are uncomfortable or uncomfortable that you can help with. So the general ones that we had shared were the employee retention as a pain point, business succession planning is a pain point, retirement planning, and of course paying too much in taxes is a pain point. And how you can use industry language if you are in a specific industry to help bridge what you do in rebranding yourself in those pain points. So I was actually doing a workshop earlier, actually on Saturday over the weekend. And there was somebody who specifically had connections to care facilities. And so when I asked for her to describe to me what she did, she was talking, the words that popped up were like illness, disease, protocol, care of plan or plan of care. She mentioned SOAP. That was an acronym for something. Anyway, but so I said, well, those things you can bridge with what you do now, right? So a financial plan of care I'd mentioned in the past. Yeah, there's financial illness. There's actually financial disease. There's a financial epidemic, and that's what I help with. So similar, if you're a doctor, yeah, just like you do a medical diagnosis for a patient, I do something pretty similar, but on the finance side. So I actually do financial diagnosis. Because as you know, and as we can see, there is a financial pandemic, and it is excellent. So there are ways to tie what you do into the industry in which you're reaching out to. I think I gave an example of construction. Somebody who was an owner of a construction company. What do? They build things, right? So they start off with a blueprint. They start off with testing the foundation. They do those, and that's exactly what you do. You do the same thing, very similar, except you do financial blueprints. You make sure that the financial foundation is set before anything happens. Before any steps can be taken, there has to be that planning in place. And engineers can appreciate that, for example. People, so utilize language that is industry specific and bridge it over to what you do and your branding of yourself. We talked about that. We talked about this elevator speech in that 10 seconds. What do? You raise curiosity. So when people ask you, well, what do you do? And then do you know how, insert a pain point. What I do is to help alleviate, to help maximize, minimize, whatever you want to say. So if you're a business owner, you're a business owner, Don. You know how a lot of business owners are constantly worried about their bottom line, but they often forget about themselves. Well, what I do is I make your bottom line my first priority. You know how you're a business owner. Do you know how business owners are constantly worried about profitability? Well, what I do is I help create plans that make sure profitability remains high, and also creates tax deductions. I mean, that's kind of on the fly. I don't know if you can actually do that, but you want to make sure that whatever you respond with is going to be something that you can help take care of. We talked about the no words, the life insurance product policy, and replace them with plans, strategies, and solutions. So we covered a lot. And then, if that wasn't enough, we also talked about executive bonus and how if the goal is to motivate, incentivize a superstar, then the possible solutions would be an executive bonus or a split premium executive arrangement. So for today's conversation, we're going to talk about concepts. Okay, so we're going to talk about the knowledge side of things with concepts. We're going to talk about communication and how to be effective with communication. And so we did most of the understanding with the industry language pain points and elevator speech. We started the knowledge aspect, which is the executive bonus, and we're going to continue on with that conversation. Now, I think I did. So if you guys remember, and tell me, Don, if I didn't say this, but when you're talking about these concepts, you want to make sure that you're able to explain things kind of like in a funnel format, which means that the funnel at the top is this is how it works, okay? And then it's the basically, and then it's in a nutshell. So the in a nutshell literally is 2 points. So if I'm talking about the executive bonus, for example, and I'm nutshelling somebody, I'd be like, okay, gang, well, in a nutshell, what we're talking about is retaining your superstar employees and creating a tax deduction for the business at the same time. That is a nutshell. If we're talking about basically, then it's, gang, basically what this plan does, it provides you the ability to truly invest in your superstar's future and also motivate them to stay with you and not quit, and at the same time create an additional tax deduction for the business. And by the way, you get to choose whomever this plan goes to and who it doesn't go to. You have full control over that. That's the basically. Oh, how it works? Well, here's how it works, gang. So tell me, who are your two superstars? And what do they do that makes them so crucial to the business? Well, what would you do if one of them decided to quit and go to another company, or they become your competition? What would that do to your business? And how would you go about surviving that disruption? Well, that's what I'm talking about. If you were able to put together a proactive plan that truly invests in your superstar's future, that makes them want to stay loyal and productive for you, you get to decide who, where, when, how much, how long, and you get a tax deduction. Wouldn't that be more effective in helping your overall revenue and profitability by keeping that person with you instead of risking them leaving? So there's that. This is how it works, basically, in a nutshell. Because you never know how much time you have with somebody, and if I want more time, then I need to give them something that's going to make them want more. Okay? So, having said that, we're going to go through the rest of these concepts, and I'm going to ask you guys to come up with a nutshell right off the bat. So, if it's, hey, what's the nutshell for this, or what's the nutshell for that? I want you to pull two things that stood out to you when we're talking about the rest of this stuff, so we can start your funnel explanation, okay? Is it helpful or not helpful to review the executive bonus? Don, you tell me, or if you want to go right into the next concept.
I think next concept's good.
Okay, great. Okay.
Unless,
so we talked about. Go ahead.
Yeah, unless they want. I think most of them already get executive bonus. Yeah.
Okay. As long as you know how and who it works for, yeah. So as long as you know who and how what it works for. So any company that has, it doesn't matter how big the company, by the way. It can be small, it can be medium, it can be large. Anybody that has a staff that they just can't lose anybody, they can't lose a crucial person or a person that drives revenue, then that executive bonus is for them. And we'll talk about some examples too, some case studies if we have some time. Okay, so it is one thing to be able to attract, retain, motivate, incentivize a superstar employee, okay? It is one thing to do that. It is another thing, though, to ensure the fact that they're going to stay with you. And you can't. I can offer, let's say that Don Don is my superstar employee who brings 75% of my business. Just because I offer him an executive bonus doesn't necessarily mean that he is going to 100% stay with me, right? Of course not. I need the protection of my business. So let's say that LaSalle is my agent. Okay, she's my rep, and she's like, David, it's great that we did this executive bonus for Don Don to incentivize him to stay with your company. This is good. It's a good thing. And at the same time, she says, at the same time, David, it would be wise to put a safety net, an additional safety net for your business. I'm like, what do you mean, LaSalle? Like, well, what happens if he decides to leave anyway? Or worse yet, what happens if he passes away? Like, oh, I never thought about that. Okay, she's like, well, then you need to have something in place that if he does decide to either still walk away, or if he unfortunately passes away, or if he can no longer work to the capacity in which he's working, maybe he becomes really sick and maybe becomes sick or injured. What happens then? So LaSalle says it would be wise for you to have an additional source that would help you in that situation. So she's like, here's what you're going to do. You should do an additional plan. It's going to still be focused on Don Don. But the difference is that, David, your company is going to own this plan. Okay? And your company is going to be the benefactor of this plan as well. So if anything happens to Don Don, you're going to have a source already in place to rehire, retrain, or replace this person, or replace Don Don. So here's what it is, guys. It is actually called a key person plan. Where is my key person? It's a key person plan. Whenever you have somebody critical to the organization that either leaves, dies, or gets sick or injured, it's going to cause disruption, of course, because they're critical. They're driving revenue. If they can't do what they do, that hurts you as a business owner. It's going to hurt my revenue. But just because it's going to disrupt my process or my operation, it doesn't need to be disastrous. The only time it's disastrous is if you're not planning properly. That's when it becomes a real problem. So to be able to put a proactive plan in place, and here's how it works. So Don Don is my key person. He brings in 75% of my business. I've offered him and gave him an executive bonus because I don't want him to leave, right? So I'm trying to incentivize him to stay. I want to invest in his future. And at the same time, I got to put a safety net in for my own company. So I'm going to take a second plan out, and it's still going to be focused on his life. The difference here is that my business, David Arnobit, Inc., is going to own it. And therefore, David Arnobit, Inc. is also going to be the beneficiary of this plan. So I have access to the cash value. I have access to the protection aspect in case he dies. So let's say that he passes away. Well, that protection aspect or the death benefit is going to pay to David Arnobit, Inc. I can do anything I want with that money because it's my company. My company is the one who owns this plan. I can repaint his office. I can go buy new furniture. I can use that money to bonus somebody else out because now I'm gonna promote somebody. I can use that money for whatever I want. Okay. Now let's say that he doesn't die. He decides to leave. Okay. He leaves. Does he get to take this plan with him? No, he does not, because he doesn't own it. He's the only thing that he has party to this plan is that he's the insured, and that's it. It is mine. It is David Arnobit, Inc. So there's a few things can happen. If it's an amicable departure, I'd be like, you know what, Don Don, you did a great job for me. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to bonus this plan out to you. You're going to have to pay taxes on that bonus, which is the cash value, but it's yours, okay? Or I could sell it to him. Like, okay, I will sell this to you at fair market value. That's an option. Or I could say, you know what, Don? Don't let the door hit you where the Lord split you. Bye, see you, and it's still my plan. I just wait for him to die. Or I kill him. I'm kidding, don't kill him. Okay, so, but if he dies, the money still goes to my business. Yeah? But let's say it's a long time till he dies. If it's an IUL, there's cash value in there. I can use it for whatever I want to because it is the business that owns it. So let me stop. It's a pretty simple concept, right? And while you're formulating any questions, I want you to think about who this applies to. It applies to any business owner. If it's a partnership, whatever, it's to any business owner that is thinking about business continuation or succession planning, right? It applies to any person that is crucial to the business. That's whomever the business owner decides. If it's a restaurant, it would be the chef, right? It could be the chef. If it is, I don't know, if it's a construction company, it could be a foreman. It could be a supervisor. If it's a home health care situation, it could be a superstar caregiver that a key person needs to be on. Key person also could be anything you want it to be. It could be an IUL. It could be a term policy. And sometimes term makes sense, especially for businesses that are pretty new. And what I mean new, maybe 3 years, 2 to 3 years. Sometimes those folks are looking for lenders or investors. And a lot of times those lenders and investors, before they will lend them any money, will require that they have a key person plan in place before they will loan any money. So by saying, hey, why don't we, but again, so to back up, but one of the things that new businesses are hesitant about is having to shell out more money because the biggest thing to them is cash flow. But so they need a loan, but they want to protect cash flow. So how can you satisfy both? You do a term policy, a key person term policy, or a combination of term and perm to be able to satisfy that requirement. So that could make sense. Okay, let me stop. And I also need to mention that there is no tax deduction for key person. No tax deduction for key person. What questions do you have?
No tax. I was going to ask that. No tax deduction. So that's why it becomes tax-free to the business because it's not tax.
That's correct.
Otherwise, it'll be taxable if you deduct that.
Correct.
Gotcha.
100%. That is correct.
I'm learning. No tax.
100% you are.
So executive bonus is
And the
not deductible.
Tax, yes, it is tax deductible. That's correct. Mm-hmm. Because it is payroll, and you are not keeping it as the business. You are actually bonusing it out. That's correct.
And that's why
and both of them make sense.
Go ahead.
And both of them make sense. Both of them make sense. Both of them make sense to have at the same time. Absolutely. So, Don, if you were if you were my superstar employee that I can't lose, well, of course I'm going to want to give you. I'm going to want to give you something, right? So I give you the executive bonus because my whole point is to be able to retain and motivate and incentivize. Well, now I need to be prudent, and I also need to protect my business. So if the goal is to retrain, rehire, replace your superstar or somebody crucial to the business, then what you're looking at is a key person plan. And both of them make sense. So let's say, for example, guys, let's say that Don passes away. Okay? So if these two plans are in place, this one, the executive bonus, is going to pay out to who? To his family, right? Mm-hmm. So his family will be taken care of. And then this one is going to also pay out. And who does this go to? It goes to me. It goes to my business.
That's free.
So it makes sense to be able to have both in place.
I see.
Okay. Any questions?
And that's why you're saying even if you get the money there, because the business is the owner, they can actually use that. So in a nutshell, do it later.
In a nutshell. Yeah, exactly. Well, think about your nutshell. Another thing, too, think about this. If you have a family-owned business, for example, family-owned business, typically mom and dad are 20 years older than kids, right? Than the next generation. And if the intent is for the next generation to take over the business, well, technically, Mom and Dad Inc., okay? Mom and Dad Inc. can take out a plan on 20-year-old or whatever adult child who's going to be taking over the business. So what ends up happening? It ends up happening that Mom and Dad basically have direct access to an IUL, but based on race and the health rating of the person who's 20 years younger than Mom and Dad. And remember, Mom and Dad, that also means that Mom and Dad, through the company, have access to cash value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So something to think about. So you can utilize it in that sense too.
So that's still the key employee or executive bonus.
Key employee.
Nope.
No. Key employee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they have access to
Question?
cash value. Why would I open up? For example, it's my business, and it's succession planning. That's what you're talking about. Or no?
It can be. No, it can't. So I mean, in a way, it is. So okay, let's say Don, you were my dad, and I'm 20 years younger than you. Okay.
Yeah.
You're whatever 35, whatever 40, and I'm 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're planning on leaving the business to me. I'm already an employee of the company, but you're intending to leave the business to me. So you're pouring all of your knowledge and everything into me right now. Okay. You take a key person plan out on me. I am 20 years old.
Okay.
And you are 40. Who is the signature of the company? You are, right? You're the signature of the company. So you have access to the death benefit. You have access to the cash value on my 20-year-old life.
So in a
what I
nutshell,
mean?
you're just leveraging that the cost of insurance is less and all that, so you're maximizing savings. Is that what it is?
That's part of it. Yeah, that's part of it. Think about the cost of insurance on a 20-year-old versus a 40-year-old.
Uh-huh.
How much did it cost? More than double. More than double. But remember, there's an insurable need. I'm a key person. I'm the next generation that'll be taking over the company. I'm a key person because you are pouring all of your knowledge into me to be able to take over your position. So it makes sense. Yeah. Question?
Yeah, how is it saleable? I mean, if I'm the business owner, like, other than what you said, how is it attractive, or how is it attractive to sell to a business owner if it's not, number one, not tax deductible to my business? So
Because of it.
I'm just looking on growing my money tax deferred and all that, and I have access tax free and all that.
Yeah.
There has to be more, and this is it right here. Damage caused by failing to plan. If you have somebody who's critical to the organization that becomes sick or injured, dies or leaves, it's going to affect your revenue and your profitability.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean,
what do you
get that part.
Right. So that's the reason. So the reason why you do this is to have a source to be able to replace that person, the gap and the void that they are going to leave. So what would happen? Would you have to hire from an outside company? Would you have to promote somebody within? Would you have to double your efforts and take on that critical person's role as well as yours? That's probably not going to happen for very long. So what we're saying is instead of having to dip into your revenue or profitability, have a source already in place to do this.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
the whole point. Yeah.
I got that part. I thought there was another way of selling it if the key employee is a family member. But
Right.
it's the same.
So that's
it's
the other thing. So it's the same approach, and it's also a way to say, hey, mom and dad, this makes sense because this is a way for you to have that direct access to cash based on your son's life or daughter's life who's 20 years younger. because there's an insurable need, and you can utilize it for whatever you want to.
Hey, David, got a question.
Okay.
Question.
So,
right?
I'm driving. So, how like the business? How long does the business have to be in place for the key person?
I mean, we like to see at least 2 years plus. You can make an argument. Yeah, you can make an argument for somebody. Yeah, probably 2 years plus, because 1 year, within 2 years or less, businesses are either gonna make it or break it. So a lot of them go under.
Okay, so I made my son a member, a managing member of our LLC. So hypothetically, I can actually create a key person policy for him, and I'm the one in control. I can dump money into it. It's and I can also take money out.
Yeah, you can, because as the signature of the company, you have the ability to do that. What I will say is this, though, to you guys, is that what we're going to do underwriting wise is we're going to look at your key person's position, their title, as well as their annual salary, and we'll go anywhere between 5 to 10 times their annual salary to figure out how much they would be able to apply for, or you would be able to apply for.
It only applies on.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. If they're 1099,
no, go ahead.
On the 1099, do they have to be a W-2, or can they be 1099?
No, it makes sense. It makes sense to be W-2, not 1099. There's no bind, right? Because it's a contract.
Got it.
And same thing with executive bonus, by the way. I mean, executive bonus makes sense for W-2. I mean, technically you could do it for 1099, but they're contracted anyway. The whole point of an executive bonus is to entice and motivate somebody to stay with your company and not leave. If you're 1099, you have every right to leave anyway.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay. What else you got? Anything else? Don, what about you? Are you clear on as to why this might make sense for a family member?
But now it does. I thought there was another explanation why. I got the point of executive bonus of the key person, but I thought there's extra when the key person is the family member.
Yeah, that little extra is the fact that you have access to a policy on somebody who's 20 years younger than you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay.
That would be it.
Oh, one more thing, David.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I noticed some of the attorneys, they don't want to pay the payroll tax if they own their own practice. So they basically 1099 themselves. So can that be a justification to do an executive bonus?
So if you're an S corp or LLC, you're a pass-through entity, right? So it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to do an executive bonus for yourself. It's not going to work for yourself. By the way, so you can be any entity at all, and if it doesn't matter, sole proprietor, LLC, C corp, S corp. If you're doing it for somebody other than yourself, an actual employee other than yourself, 100% it makes sense. Okay. If it is for yourself as an employee, or if it's for yourself, then we have to look at the structure of your company. So what structure? If it's C corp, yes, you can do it for yourself if you wanted to, and if it makes sense. Okay. Because C corp is a separate entity. There's no pass-through. It's all separate. So you're an employee of your own company. Okay. If you're an S corp, it's a pass-through entity. So even though even though your business would get a break or a tax deduction for the bonus that you yourself would receive, as a recipient, you have to pay taxes on it. So it becomes a wash. There's no net tax benefit to you as an S corp. So what you could do for an executive bonus, instead of a true quote-unquote executive bonus, you would do what's called a K-1 distribution or a Schedule K distribution. And what that is, it's a withdrawal from your company. without having to pay payroll taxes because it's not W-2. So no FICA, no SSI, none of that stuff. What you would do instead is you would just take more out for the K to satisfy the K1, and then you just turn around and you would open up an individual LIRP plan, life insurance for risk protection. So right here, a bonus to an S corporation owner is subject to payroll taxes, whereas a K1 distribution of a pass-through entity does not have to pay payroll. So you're saving about 15% that way if you do K1 and then open up an individual, since you cannot do officially an executive bonus. Or it doesn't make sense.
Okay, David, before I lose my... Oh, Ray, are you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. So two questions. One is, how many years of W-2 do you need before you get considered key employee? For example, if I have my daughter, I just give her 100,000 W-2 today, and I wanna insure her for next year. So for 1 year, she has a W-2 of 100,000. So can I insure her next year as a key employee for $1 million? Or does it have to be 2 years?
No, there's no. We won't look necessarily at how long that person's been on payroll for, per se. What we'll look at is how long has the business been around for.
How long the business been around for?
Yeah. Yep. So you could do it. The short answer is yes, you can do it.
Okay. But like my business, it's not based on my business because it's based on her salary, right?
It's good. We're going to look at both. So we're going to ask you here. Actually, we're going to ask you there's a business questionnaire that you have to complete.
Okay.
And that's gonna be the basic here. Actually, I'll bring it up really quick. So anytime you do a business case with us, executive bonus, whatever the case is, we're going to ask for a business insurance questionnaire. And here it is. Okay, so you can see what we ask. Ask for a corporation. We ask for total assets. We ask for liabilities. We ask for all this stuff.
Okay.
Gross sales. Okay. So key person, if you're going to list a key person, here it is. Title, position, do they own any part of the business? Do they have anything currently in force, and what are they applying for? Notice also, this does not have to be signed by the client. It just needs to be signed by the agent. Okay?
Now, and a follow-up piggyback question for that. What if my business closed down?
Okay.
And
Well,
I
then,
have
if
an
the business-
existing key employee, but yeah, I dissolved the business.
So it's still a business asset, so this would dissolve with it. So a key person plan dissolves with it. So it's yours. It's the business. It's owned by the business, so it's considered part of the business asset. So it would also liquidate.
Oh.
Or
can
you
the
can
payment
forgive it.
continue? Payment?
What's that?
Can the payment still continue?
So you'd have to change ownership. So if the business dissolved, then you would have to change ownership and take it on yourself personally. So technically, what you're saying is that the business can quote unquote bonus it out to you, and you would have to pay taxes on that bonus, right? Which would be whatever the cash value at the time, or approximately that. And then it changes ownership to you, and you can continue it.
Isn't it double taxation?
How do you
That's
mean?
the case? Because it was not deducted to the business, right?
It's not deducted.
For that?
It's correct. It's not tax deductible to the business because technically, if anything happened, then you would have access to it. But it's the businesses. Remember, it's a business asset. So for them to be able to give it to you, quote unquote, give it to you, they can't just give it to you. They have to bonus it to you.
Okay, so do they necessarily have to change ownership,
Yes.
or can it
Because
stay
if you're
like?
telling me, no. If you're in your example, you said the business is dissolved. It is going under, correct?
Uh-huh.
So there's no more business. So the business
Uh-huh.
cannot continue with key person because they no longer exist. Right?
Mm,
Don Don Inc. is dissolving. So therefore, Don Don Inc. no longer exists. So Don Don Inc. technically can't own this anymore. It's part of the business asset. So when you go through your chapter of whatever you're doing, it's going to look at all of your business assets, including everything you own, and that happens to be part of the insurance. So just like any other business, if they sell off assets, you technically can sell this off, quote unquote, to yourself,
so
and not necessarily sell it to yourself. You could bonus it. The company could bonus it to you, if you're the assuming that you're the key person.
uh-huh.
Okay?
I see.
But this might be a sidebar conversation.
Okay. All right. I'll wait for
Okay.
that.
What I want everybody else to get out of this,
Mm-hmm.
okay, is that there is a way to be able to help protect the business in the event that something happens to the key person. This is all about succession planning. This is all about thinking about those next steps in case something happens. It makes sense to have both an executive bonus, for example, as well as a key person, like we were talking about. The key person, as a reminder, is not tax deductible. It is not tax deductible. But there are ways that if the departure is amicable, you can bonus it out, you can sell it, you could not do anything and just keep it and wait for that key person who left your company to die. You'll still get the death benefit from it. Okay. If no one has any questions, I'm going to move on to the next concept, and then we'll talk about your nutshell explanation. Is everybody ready? Are we good?
Question.
Yes.
So are you saying that a business can open up an executive bonus plan and a key person plan on the same person?
Yes.
Of course. Yep. Sure can.
Which probably will answer my next question. Like if I were to insure one key person in the company, and then the payer, the owner, and the beneficiary is my company, what is the takeaway for that person? Why would he want to allow me to insure him? Because I might kill him, right?
Yeah, you might. Hopefully not, because he's more valuable alive than dead.
So I guess I could say that the takeaway is, okay, I'll bonus you by means of the executive bonus, and at the same time, I'll insure you with a key person. I mean, at least it could be expensive, but I think it's a dividend kind of thing. Yeah? Is that correct?
It doesn't have to be. It just depends on what the goal is. So the setup, like, for example, I was using Don Don. So let's say Don Don brings in 75% of my business. I'm like, Don Don, look, I can't lose you. I really appreciate everything that you do for the company. And I want to invest in your future, and I want to make sure that you're happy here. So I'm going to provide a $25,000 a year bonus to you. I want you to work with my guy, Ray. Ray's going to help you create this plan that does X, Y, and Z, right? Whatever. I want to be able to provide that plan for you. And he's like, yeah, that sounds fantastic. And then I say, at the same time, I go, Don Don, the other thing I want to do too is I also need to protect my company in case anything happens to you. Whether you become sick or injured, or you ultimately end up leaving, or even worse. So I'm going to take out another plan that's still focused on your life. So it's still focused on you. But in this particular plan, it's specifically for me to have a resource to rehire, replace, and retrain for your position if I need to. Okay? So he gets the executive bonus, and this plan stays with me. That's what that is. And he has to say yes or no. Likely, though, if I'm tapping Don on the shoulder saying, I need to do this plan, I need to do this second plan here because I need to put a safety net up for my company in case anything happens to you. He's probably going to say yes, number one, because A, he's somebody who's critical to my company, and I probably pay him pretty well. So he understands that there needs to be a safety net in place. Any big company, any company out there, Pacific Life, Transamerica, Nationwide, Apple, Microsoft, all of them have a key person plan on the people that are critical to running that company that are successful. They all say yes because they pay them a heck of a lot of money, right? And they understand that their functionality is far and beyond just a rank and file employee. So, yeah, they could say no. They could say no. But the likelihood, they probably won't. That's also why you're right. You offer them an incentive. I'm doing this for you, and I'm also going to do this for my company. Good question. Any other questions?
Or can it also be a selling factor to the key person where if I'm the owner of the business, you're a key person in my company, I'm not giving or I'm not purchasing an executive bonus, but I'm purchasing a key person insurance, but since my business is the beneficiary, the owner and the payer, there has to be some like maybe a vesting period, I suppose. Like, okay, if you stay enough number of years, you get to keep it, whether, I mean, in case you know, even though my business is the beneficiary, there will be like a side contract perhaps that maybe
you could. So you're talking about dangling a carrot. Yeah, you could dangle a carrot like that and say, yeah, if you're with me, what I'll do is this. I mean, you're going to have to. That's going to be up to the two parties. But yeah, you could do that. Again, because remember, as somebody who's as the owner of the key person plan, right? You can decide what happens. Don't forget, I said you can bonus it out to somebody, you can sell it to that person. Like, it's up to you. But it's whoever you're insuring, obviously. The other thing I need to mention too is that whatever you take out on somebody, so if I was taking a $1 million plan on Don, then I just took away $1 million from his personal ultimate line of insurance. So if he had a $5 million ultimate line, and I took $1 million, that means he can only apply for $4 million. That's also why there needs to be notice of consent.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hmm? Yep. So just keep that in mind.
Say that again, David.
Yeah. So whatever the company owns on you as the employee takes away from your personal line of insurance.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay? So if your ultimate line, let's say, is $5 million, and I take $1 million, that means you have only $4 million left that you can apply for.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay? Yep, keep that in mind. But it still 100% makes sense on the business continuation side of things. It just depends on the goal. Okay. So let's shift gears here, and I want to talk about the third concept. Now, the third concept, this will be a lot easier. But the third concept comes when you come across people who are business partners. Yeah. Mm. So if you're in a partnership, you need to make sure that there's a partner's plan in place. I call it a partner's plan, right? What it is, it's a buy-sell agreement. But nobody cares again what it's called. Everybody cares about what it does. So let's say that Ray and I are business partners. Okay. And we started a business, I don't know, 5 years ago, whatever, and we're now we started in our garage, and now we're netting $100,000 a month because we have good distribution, all that good stuff. Now Ray is married, and I am married. He has kids. I have a young daughter. And what happens if anything happens to me? So either of us, But in this case, I'll say, let's say that I die. So all of a sudden, Ray becomes partners with my wife, who could be a complete lunatic. She could be crazier than, she'd be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, okay? By the way, my wife is not crazy. She's very kind, very sweet, very level-headed, a lot better than I am. Anyway, but he doesn't know that. He doesn't know my wife. He got in the business because he trusted me. He and I have a rapport. We have trust, okay? But if we don't do the proper planning, then guess what? He's going to be in business with my wife, who could just snap it at the hat. So we're worried about this. We're really worried about this. So we go to our guy Dan, and Dan says, okay, it's a valid concern. And so what I think you guys should do is you should have a partner's plan in place. We're like, what the heck is a partner's plan? He's like, well, it's a plan that protects each interest of the business owner, or each business owner's interest in the company. There's two sides to a partner's plan. One is the legal side. Mm-hmm. It is an outline of what is going to happen in case one of you decides to leave the company or die. It's an outline of what's going to happen, which you guys both agree to, and thereby your estate also agrees to. And there's the second side. And the second side, besides the legal, is going to be how are you going to fund the plan? So if this happens, how are you going to pay for it? So let's take this as an example. Ray and I are in business. So let's take a look here. I'm going to show this to you on a diagram. It's so much easier. And there's many, many different types of various partners plans or buy-sell agreements. I'm going to show you the most easiest one, and pretty common too. Here it is. It's a cross-purchase. So here's what happens. I buy a plan on Ray. Ray buys a plan on me. We both are the owner and beneficiary of each other's plan. So let's say that I die. So now that plan pays out to Ray. Okay? The plan pays out to Ray. Ray then buys out my wife. Mm-hmm. So pays her what she needs to pay, what he needs to pay her to get her out of the business. So that's how we fund the plan, and therefore the business, according to the legal side, goes back to Ray, and he's able to go off and do whatever he wants. Okay? But let's say that, I don't die. Hey, Ray, I'm done. I want to get out of here. I want to start another business. It's been a good run, but I'm done. So now what's Ray supposed to do? How is he going to buy out my interest? I'm like, Ray, buy me out. Buy out my shares. Buy out the side of my business. Ray's like, shit, I don't have any money. Like, we got to do something. What are you going to do? Are you going to sell the company? Are you going to restructure? What are you going to do? Like, I don't know. So if he has one of these plans in place and there's cash value, what Ray could do is say, hey, David, let's do an installment sale. So that way I don't have to come up with the money all at once. What I can do is I can take money out of this source and pay off in the next 5 years, and it'll be good to go. Okay, great. But the whole point is, by utilizing the insurance piece or the insurance aspect, you have that instant leverage in case anything happens. If I died, this plan will pay out to Ray. Ray will be able to pay out my wife, and then carry on the business as he sees fit, right? The other thing it does, if there's cash value and it's funded properly, it gives a source for the owner to be able to pull money out accordingly to satisfy whatever that dollar agreement is over a course of time. Because if you don't do that, then what's the alternative? Ray has to take money out of his savings account. Ray has to take a loan out to be able to buy lump sum, blah blah blah. Do you see what I mean? So what the whole point and what the buy-sell agreement offers is to be able to protect the interest of each business owner, the interest of each owner, and provide a resource while providing a resource to purchase what is it? To purchase the exiting business owner estate. Okay? And then obviously, well, this could be would be a buy-sell or what I call a partner's plan.
Hey, David, any tax benefits on this one?
I mean, there could be. There might be a way, depending on how you're structured, and it gets a little fancy. So let's say we're a C corp. Let's say Ray, you and I are a C corp. We technically could have the company executive bonus out money, and then instead of using it as an executive bonus for us, a personal plan, we can buy one of these plans on each other. I mean, that's one way to do it.
Only C corp, not S.
Not S corp. Remember, S corp is a pass through. I'm so desperate. Come on. Yeah. Okay. So these are the three concepts. These are the three main concepts that you can come across pretty easily. You'll find that any business owner, the first thing you should ask a business owner if you know they have a partner is, hey, do you have a partner's plan or a buy-sell agreement? And they're going to say yes or no, or they're going to say, what the heck is that? And you're going to tell them, well, it's a way to be able to protect your interest, each interest of each business owner. And there's two sides. There are two sides. There's a legal side, which says exactly what's going to happen in the event that somebody departs, either by death or decision. And then there's the funding side. Well, how are you going to actually execute the plan financially? I can help with that part. I can get you connected with somebody on the legal part. While we do not require a legal agreement, we highly recommend that you put them in place with somebody who can actually do the legal agreement. Okay, let me pause with questions. 4 questions. Anybody.
Not required, but highly recommended.
Highly recommended.
Gotcha.
What was I going to tell you? I was going to tell you something about this too. I can't remember. Oh well, it'll work out. So let me share with you a case study that I did, and I don't even think I've looked at this out for this purpose. Okay. Well, actually, before I go to the case study, let's take this. Let's say that we're a C corp. Let's say that Ray and I are a C corp. Okay. And so what we do, because we're a C corp, we're able to do an executive bonus for each other. So our company gives us an executive bonus. Okay. Let's say it's $1 million executive bonus, and each. So he gets $1 million, I have $1 million. It's max funded by the company, so they get a tax deduction. We have to pay taxes on it, but that's fine. They do a double bonus for us. Obviously, since we're owners, we also have a key person plan on each of us because we're crucial and critical to the success of the organization. And then on top of that, let's just for fun say that we have a buy-sell agreement. We have all 3 plans. So let's say that I pass away. I die. Now, first of all, we take the executive bonus. Who is the one that gets the benefit from this? Who gets the death benefit from this? Anybody remember?
Executive?
Who gets it?
Sure.
The family.
I die. Who gets it?
My family, your family.
Yeah.
Executive bonus.
My family, my wife. That's correct.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
great. So that goes to my family. Okay. Now, I obviously left the business because I died. So who gets the key person plan?
The business.
Ray, right? Ray, our business gets it. That's right. That pays there. Now, it's a buy-sell agreement. So, because Ray and I are partners, who does this pay out to?
Pay out to Ray to buy out you, your wife.
To buy out my wife. That's correct. So you can see how this works. But by buying out my wife, he's able to continue the business as per the charter or as per the legal agreement that was put in place. So my wife, my family gets that $1 million executive bonus. Ray, or the company, gets the key person in order to be able to rehire, replace, or retrain for my position. And then what happens? This also pays out to provide Ray a source to what? Provides him a resource to purchase the exiting business owner's estate. So my wife gets this money again. My wife gets it, and guess what? Ray gets the business. So you can see why all 3 completely make sense. It's just good planning.
Yep.
So
If
let
it's
me
C-Corp,
go-
then
go ahead.
all of it is tax deductible. If C Corp.
If it's a C corp, it could be, yes. The executive bonus is the key person is not. Remember, key person is never, ever tax deductible.
Oh yeah.
And if it is, if key person is tax deductible, then you're giving up any type of tax benefit on the death side or cash value side, then it becomes all taxable.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to start with this case study here, and I'm just going to kind of give you an idea. So here's the deal: we have two business partners. I haven't written this down, so this is perfect. Two business partners, and they own 4 healthcare facilities, residential. Okay, they have 4. Here are the things that they do. So we have 2 partners in C Corp. They have 3 superstar nurses. 2 of them they can't lose, and 2 are crucial. And they have 1 person who's just starting, who is less than a year in your company, but doing really well, rising star. Okay. Their concern was taxes, business tax, the amount they're paying with business tax, and also retirement planning. Now, what were the opportunities? Anybody see any opportunities here?
No insurance, own tons of real estate, and trust. Is the trust revocable, irrevocable? Most likely
There's a
irrevocable. 2 business partners, they're...
We're looking at number 6, right here.
Oh! 2 business partners, therefore... So... Yeah, the
What are the
3.
opportunities?
Those 3, key
Yeah,
employee, executive bonus, and partners plan.
What?
Partners plan, the buy and sell.
Okay. So key person on who?
Key person, the
Who?
The rising star.
Superstar
Okay.
nurses, 2 times crucial. Yeah. That superstar nurses.
Yeah. Okay. 2 times superstar. Okay. What else?
And then executive bonus.
You
as
said
well.
rising star. You said rising star, right?
Uh-huh.
You said rising star. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. All right. Go ahead. What else is there? You said executive bonus sold on?
Yeah, executive bonus.
For who?
Those 3 as well. The 2 superstar and the 1 rising star.
Okay. What else?
And then a buy and sell agreement for the business partners.
Okay. What else?
Executive bonus plans on those 4 owners as well, I guess. Or is that
There's only 2
double
owners.
dipping?
There's only 2 owners, Christy. Those are healthcare residential health facilities.
Oh yeah, so
Yep.
they could do executive bonus on those 2 business partners and
Yes.
buy-sell agreement and key person, all 3?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yep. You got that right. Yep. Yep. Okay, and the agreement on the business partners, right? So you got it. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, that's just the business side of planning things. We haven't even touched the other possibilities.
Cover the taxes of the real estate and the 3rd. Oh no, it's another case.
We're talking about estate planning. Possible DB, defined benefit plan. You haven't even talked about possibly SEP IRAs or anything else, solo 401k, like any of that stuff. You haven't even talked about just the annuity piece. You haven't even talked about just the long-term care opportunity. Like, there's so much. This is what I'm saying. So ultimately, what we ended up doing with these guys, I'll tell you exactly what we did. The results were one buy-sell or one exec bonus for owner. Okay, they ended up doing 3 exec bonus for the 3 caregivers, just different increments. They did 2 key person plans on the owners. They were working on the buy-sell agreement. And then we're not even talking about the children, because both owners had children, so did the nurses. Like, the opportunities, guys, are endless. You taproot. You get into one business, you start asking the right questions, you start planting seeds, you're going to get the results, and there's a lot of results to get, but you have to be trained in order to be able to, what's the word, kind of pull out what is needed or point out what is needed. So, let me stop really quick. What questions do you have? Am I making sense? Does this make sense? Am I making sense?
Makes sense now.
Okay. Let me save this too, because we were talking about this. Okay, so let's get back to your stuff here. All right. Give me one sec. So now, I want to talk about the communication aspect of it. So the communication stuff is is the funnel explanation.
Mm-hmm.
The funnel explanation is, can you describe to me any of these solutions in that format, in that funnel format? This is how it works, basically, and in a nutshell. So, can somebody give me an example of, in a nutshell, for a buy-sell agreement? Go ahead, volunteer yourself, please do. Who can give me in a nutshell? And when you're doing a nutshell, what you're doing is you're doing 2 points. What are the 2 main points of that concept that you're trying to relay that are critical? 2. Go ahead. Buy-sell agreement.
So buy and sell agreement in a nutshell is,
In a nutshell,
when one of the partners pass away, one, you don't have to work with the spouse and you can buy them out. And second, the surviving owner get to keep the company.
okay, that's a nutshell. If you're doing it, it's right in front of you. If you're doing it in less words because you're just trying to make a point, right? Look,
Yeah.
Don, in a nutshell, what we're doing, you're protecting your interest as a business owner and providing a resource for you to be able to pay somebody out if they leave or die.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the nutshell. It's just right to the point.
Mm.
The basically is a little bit longer than the nutshell. It's in between the explaining the whole thing. This is how it works. This is how it works, basically, in a nutshell. So who can nutshell key person? Who can nutshell key person? Give me a nutshell on key person.
See,
Don't be
hey,
shy.
I know, right? I park real quick. Hey, David, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to do here with the strategy we're offering to you is it gives you a peace of mind knowing that if anything were to happen to you, your legacy is protected. So the business gets to continue to survive, and the 20 employees that relies on you won't have to worry about losing their job. How does that sound to you?
Opposite.
For key person,
Key person.
Yeah, that was a key person, right?
No.
Executive.
I mean,
Key person.
it kind of makes sense for key person, but that sounds more like a buy sell in a sense.
Is it? Okay.
But Ray, I thank you for volunteering. The thing I want you to think about is how, and you did, so that's fair. So how is it going to impact? Why would the business owner want to do that? Yes, you're right. But don't kill them. Kill somebody else. Like, what I want to point out, like, Ray, if you're the business owner, I go, look, Ray, you've got a successful company. You rely on certain people. I'm suggesting this plan because it's a way to have a safety net for your business in case somebody crucial decides to leave or die, and it provides you with a resource to rehire, replace, and retrain without having to dip into revenue. Do you have a plan like that in place now? That's the soft close.
Got
So
it. That's actually what I was gonna. That was actually what I was gonna say. But thank you.
Was that it? Good. So you want to highlight. So these are the things you want to be able to highlight in a nutshell. Is to be able to highlight. So explain it in the funnel explanation. In the here's how it works. Let's go A. Here's how it works, which is the longer explanation.
Mm-hmm.
B is the basically. So this is the cliff notes. And C is in a nutshell. And that would be two critical features. Okay. So that's the communication aspect. When you're talking to somebody, you want to be able to hit home, and you want to be able to hit them in a way that's going to be relevant and engaging, and therefore impactful. The other thing I'm going to mention too is this. So the second piece here is going to be your initial engagement with your contact list. Okay. So, and I think Christy and I talked about this. So you're going to go through your list and you're going to say, okay, what is the preferred communication of this person? So if Don and Ray were on my list and LaSalle were on my list, so 1, 2, 3, no particular order, I need to know what the preferred communication style is. Oops, communication. Is it text? Is it phone call? Is it in person? Is it email? Okay? So whatever the preferred, so what I would do is I go, okay, LaSalle, she prefers text. She's really good at text. So number one, I'm going to slot her with a text. So what I need to do here is I need to script out my initial text to her. So before I send it, I need to plan on what that's going to look like. I want power words and power phrases. LaSalle, thought about you. I know your half a year is over. I want to talk to you about these tax engineering opportunities for business owners. You have 10 minutes we can get together? So I want to put something in there that is going to be short enough for LaSalle to be able to bite on. It's setting the proper hook. But you got to script it out so you have an idea of what's going to really grab their attention. You want to make sure that whatever you script out, that content is, number one, relevant. Are they going to care about what you're contacting about? It needs to be engaging. I want to get your opinion on something. Do you have 10 minutes that we can get together? You want to encourage that engagement. And finally, if you do those things properly, then it's going to be impactful. Because without the other two, you'll never get to that third point. Okay? The other thing that you want to do is once you make the initial engagement, the devil's in the details. You've got to make sure that you got to do the follow-up. And I know this sounds really simple, but there's a way you can do it that makes it effective. So, it's called a 90-day dash. It's a 90-day follow-up program, okay? And I'm going to stop sharing really quick so we can talk about this. What a 90-day dash does, it keeps you on track, and it helps to create psychic real estate for your contact person. Does everybody know what Does everybody know what psychic real estate is? Do you know what psychic real estate is? Anybody know? Tell me. I'll give you an example. Okay, who here has had their heart broken before? Maybe in high school or college. Anybody? Come on. Anybody had their heart broken before? Yeah, okay. The guys aren't admitting it. All you guys they're all studs, that's why. They've never had their heart broken. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take you back to whenever that was, college. Maybe it was many decades ago. I don't know. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. Okay? So I want you to think about that time where somebody broke your heart. They broke your heart, okay? And you broke up. And then all of a sudden, oh, the song came on. Oh, the song that you shared, you danced to, made out to, whatever. It comes on, you know. And it hits your heart. And that person hasn't been in your life for a month, a year, or whatever. And that song comes on, and you still think about them. Are you guys thinking about a song? Are you thinking about that person that broke your heart? Yeah? That's psychic real estate. That person's not even there anymore. Oh, but something comes on. Something reminds them, reminds you of them. Oh, my God, you're going through the whole thing again. That's psychic real estate. And that's what you can do with this clientele. What we're trying to do with this 90-day dash is to create psychic real estate. So, for example, what you're going to do is you're going to make your initial contact. Point 1, that's your initial contact. A day later, you're going to make another. It's a touch point. You create your touch point. You have it calendared out. So day 1, initial contact. Day 2, thank you for visiting with me. Right. Day 10, you're going to send that person an article, or I thought about you. I want to get your opinion on this. Whatever. Then 10 days out from that, you send out something else. I'm going to be in the area. You want to get a cup of coffee? So what you do is you're creating these touch points within a 90-day period. And what that does, it helps to build relationship. It helps to create mental, psychic real estate. It is a good way to do a combination of both personal and work and business. But you calendar it out first, not on the way. Like literally, contact point. Contact point 1, touch point 2, touch point 3, touch point until you get to the 90 days. The first thing you got to figure out, though, is what is your goal? What is it you're trying to accomplish in that 90 days? You have to understand, number 1, have in mind, what is the goal? Is it to deepen relationship? Is it to have a better understanding? Is it to give them, is it to rebrand yourself in a certain way? You need to understand your goal. You need a calendar out the full 90 days. Yeah? And you need to make sure that your content is also relevant and engaging, right? So everything else. So are relevant, engaging, and impactful. And then at the end of that 90 days, you should be somewhere, or within that 90 days, or at the end of the 90 days, you should be somewhere. Because what happens is that we get these great ideas. You just spent 2 hours of your life with me. For what reason? To listen to me talk? No, of course not. It is to either help you get into the space more effectively, to gain more knowledge on some of these concepts that we talked about, to be able to execute everything that we talked about in a way that is going to be beneficial for your clientele and for you, and thereby me. Like, you got to know what you want, and then it's going to happen. You just have to be able to know what you're asking for. And the other point that I'll bring up, and this is a star, okay? When you ask for a referral, be specific. What do I mean by be specific? If you were doing individual business, let's say that you're doing let's say you're doing a financial review or something, and it's not a business owner, and you ask for a referral. What type of referral are you asking for? Oh, do you know anybody that blah, 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 blah? Be specific. Don, if you liked what I did for you and the plan that we came up with, what I wanted to do is I wanted to let you know that I'm also doing the same thing for business owners. Can I ask you, do you know any business owners that you're either related to, that you're friends with, that could benefit from having a conversation with me in regards to similar to what we did for you, except on the business owner level. Ask for specifically what you want, and you're going to get it. Don't just ask for some, give me your approval. Well, they'll send you anybody. Ask for a good one. But be specific. Okay. We are definitely out of time. I'm gonna come back here and say, okay, if you've not done homework, which happens to be this stuff right here, it'd be highly advantageous if you do. The other thing is this stuff. The funnel explanation is really going to help you in your communication with someone in regards to how do I approach the subject. Hey Ray, I was in a session with a VP of Pacific Life, who's a good friend of mine, and we're talking about challenges that business owners are having right now, especially with half the year over. I wanted to get your opinion on a specific challenge. There we are. That's engaging, right? I want to get your opinion on a specific challenge. And it's specifically in regards to employee retention. He was talking about some specific strategies that he was using with some business owners that he was working with. I wanted to see what you were utilizing in order to keep your best superstars. Do you have like 10 minutes I can come by? We have a cup of coffee. That's it. You don't need to be an expert at this. You just need to know enough of the concept to be able to start the conversation. And then once you do get a meeting, then it's about asking the right questions, which is why we have a needs analysis brochure, so you know to ask certain questions. We have a business owner fact finder, so that you're asking the specific questions that you're going to need in order to come up with a plan. And because this is about information gathering, you're going to dangle another carrot. I mean, like, hey, Ray, I've got a few ideas. Let me take it back to my team before we talk about any type of numbers. So I just want to make sure that I'm on the right path. But this gives me enough to be able to go by. What are you doing 5 days from now? What about next week, Tuesday at 3 o'clock? Set the appointment before you leave. Take it away and set the appointment for you. Okay, let me stop. This is now session 2.5, and we talked about a lot. So, feedback, what do you think, Don? I'm Addy. I'm replacing you.
I think we need a longer time to digest that. See, 2 weeks, maybe we can get some results, practice a little bit more. Or do you suggest,
Okay.
David, keep giving the information? I'm
Well,
looking at it like playing golf. They teach you one concept, and then you practice it and practice it and practice it. And when you're good at it, then they throw another one.
you know your team best, so however you want to be able to execute, I think 100% makes sense. What I would say is this. If you're serious about this, and I can only tell you what I've experienced with people that are putting in the work. I know that Ate Christie is putting in the work, and I know, Ray, that you've started your list as well, and so is Ricky. If this is something that you're really wanting to do, you have to have somebody in mind. Okay? You need to have somebody in mind, so now that you're building towards something. So I can tell you right now that Christy has done all of this. She's done all of this. So now what we're doing is we're looking at her list and say, okay, what we need to do is we have to set up your initial engagement. Okay? So let's talk about your initial engagement. Of course, everybody can always be stronger in explanation. You just need to know enough to be dangerous. So if you're saying, Don, that, yeah, let's go ahead and work on how to explain an executive bonus and key persons, because those are the two easiest, then work with the team on doing that, that's fine. And still at the same time, everybody can be doing this. You can be going through your list and figuring out, okay, what's the preferred communication style? And what am I going to do to script out my initial communication? And when am I going to put that first communication in place? That stuff can be already, the ball can be rolling. Yeah, so you tell me. Go ahead.
I think we need 2 weeks for that. I don't want everybody to get all information, like keep analyzing, and then you get paralyzed and we're not moving. So we want to make sure that within 2 weeks we have at least something get started.
What's the something?
something is at least communicate into one or two business partners at least, or business owners.
Okay. So the expectations about. So again, we need to be specific, right? So I'm about specificity. Specificity. Is that a word? That is specificity. Is that the expectation? Is, so we're all clear. Is that in 2 weeks you're going to contact at least 2 people on your list. So that means you'd have gone through and said, okay, you would gauge what is the ranking, style of communication, and within 2 weeks, you're going to make that initial point of contact. And 2 weeks from now, right now is the 24th, and so that would be by July 8th, the week before convention. So, right? That's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes?
Mhm.
Okay. So no later than July 8th, you will have initiated contact with 2 people on your list. Now, again, I'm offering it up there. If you want to go through your list with me, please send me your list. I'm more than happy to do that. If you want to talk about the 2 people that you were looking to engage initially, you want to talk about your content of your engagement, by all means, please contact me. I have no problems with that at all. I want your initial contact needs to be the strongest point of contact, because that's going to set up your trajectory. That'll set up your path on how everything else is going to be received. Okay? So this is super fun. I know. A lot of you guys are like, can I just call people? Can I just do that? You can, but you need to have it planned out if you really truly are trying to be more, if you're trying to taproot successfully. That's what I'll say.
David, do you have a copy of or a sample we can pattern for that 90-day dash, something like that?
I mean, you can come up with one. Literally, it's initial contact, day after. So touch point 1, initial contact, and then you have touch point over the cross 90 days. So the next day, thank you. 7 to 10 days, you have it calendared already. I'm going to send this out. Have you had a chance to take a look at blah, blah, blah? 10 days from that. So it just depends on what
What's
your
your
feel
goal?
is.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. And you do 90 days because you don't want it to be compacted into 2 weeks where you look like a creeper. Don't be a creeper, by the way. No creeper vibes, okay? Be normal, be cool. And stop thinking about that high school or college sweetheart that broke your heart with that special song. Text me that special song that came to mind, by the way. I'm curious now. Who broke your
you
heart?
reminded me.
Boink.
Psychic real estate. That's good psychic real estate, though, right there. You see what I mean? So think about the psychic real estate that you want to establish with your receiver, your business owner. I've established psychic real estate with you guys. You think of a business owner, you think Pacific Life, you think of David. You know what I mean? So
You did.
let's partner together.
I think
Let's
about
get it
my
done.
homework every night.
Because you're thinking of David.
I love
The homework.
Think
my
about me every
elevator
night.
speech.
Love it. And anyway, so if there's anything I can do, please let me know. But I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you so much for spending time with me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Hey,
Okay.
appreciate
Don,
that,
you
David.
and I will have that conversation.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
David.
All right. Thank you.
David.
Good night.
Hey, good night, everyone.
All right.